If you've driven through the 680 or the 880 corridor lately, or have seen the massive construction happening around the new Google Downtown West campus, you know that San Jose's real estate is an absolute juggernaut. And we're seeing homes in neighborhoods like Willow Glen or Santa Clara reach valuations that were deemed unthinkable just a decade ago. But there is a quiet, documented trend happening right now in the Santa Clara County that is costing our longtime residents a fortune. A massive new study that analyzed over 10 million repeat home sales has uncovered what I call a senior discount that most people have no idea exists. The research shows that starting exactly at the age of 70, the returns that people get on their home sales starts to drop significantly compared to younger sellers. Here's the math that should concern every homeowner in the South Bay. The data illustrates that an 80-year-old seller typically earns about 0.5% less per year in home appreciation than a seller in the 36 to 45-year-old reference group. Now, 0.5% might sound like a small rounding error, but the sources explicitly state that when you calculate this 0.5% annual penalty over a mean holding period of 11 years, that translates to a sale price that's roughly 5% lower. And in most parts of the country, the study uses a $400,000 home as an example, where that 5% gap equals a $20,000 loss. But we live in Silicon Valley, and if you're selling a modest family home here in Cambrian or West San Jose for $2 million, that 5% senior discount isn't just $20,000, it's $100,000 to hit your retirement nest egg. This is a massive equity leak that is hitting our seniors right as they enter their silver tsunami of baby boomers begin to exit their home ownership experience. Welcome back. I'm Steve Moon with the Steve Moon Group, and I've spent my career helping families across the San Jose area navigate the most complex financial transaction of their lives, and more importantly, making sure that they don't leave any money on the table. The method that the researchers looked at were 10 million home sales by linking property records to voter data to see how much money sellers actually made based on their age. And by comparing similar houses in the same neighborhoods, they were able to isolate the age penalty that older sellers face. They double-checked these numbers against health and census surveys to make sure that the lower profits weren't just caused by memory issues or how long that somebody lived in a particular house. The data proves that sellers over the age of 70 consistently get 0.5% less for their homes every year, showing that this price gap is a real market trend and not just a mistake in the math formula. The first major reason for this price gap comes down to a concept called relative under-maintenance. The source identifies two types of homeowners, the movers and the stayers. Most younger sellers are movers. They are constantly updating their homes because they treat the property as an investment that they will use to eventually trade up, perhaps from a condo to a townhome or townhome to a single family home. But many of our neighbors in communities like the Rose Garden or Willow Glen are stayers. These are the people that live in the same home for 30 or 40 years, and over time, upkeep naturally starts to decline. And according to the research, homes sold by older individuals are significantly less likely to have high positive upgrades. I'm talking about things like a new roof, an updated HVAC system, or a remodeled kitchen or a bathroom. Instead, their listings are more likely to feature high negative terms like fixer-upper or as-is sale. In a market in Silicon Valley where buyers are terrified of rising PG&E rates, they're looking for energy-efficient windows and modern electrical panels that can handle an upgraded EV charger. And if your home hasn't been updated in 30 years, it becomes what an appraiser would call atypical. It's an outlier that gets discounted by the marketplace. The study found that this lack of renovation and poor upkeep explains about 25% of the age gap in returns. The second reason is even more critical because it's about the strategy of the sale itself. The data shows that older sellers are much more likely to sell through private listings, often called a pocket listing, which means instead of putting the home on the MLS or the multiple listing service. Why does this happen? Many seniors seem to value their privacy. You don't want 50 strangers walking through your home on a Sunday afternoon, so you choose the other route. Or maybe an agent will tell you that I have an investor who will buy this for cash right now, no hassle and no open house. But here's the catch that the data uncovered. First, limited exposure. When you sell off MLS, you aren't reaching the full pool of buyers out there. You're cutting out the very competition that drives prices up in San Jose. Second, the investor margin. Older sellers are 2.7% more likely to sell to a professional investor. An investor aren't looking for a home, they're looking for profit margin. And that profit comes directly out of your equity. Third, dual agency risks. Older sellers are most likely to end up with the dual agency situation where one agent represents both sides of the transaction. The study suggests that this can lead to what they call an incentive misalignment, where the agent might prioritize a quick dual commission sale over fighting for that extra $100,000 for you. Great for the agent, not so good for the seller who will leave tons of money on the table. And here's something that many agents pushing off-market listings won't tell you. Some agents have little side deals going on with investors. And here's how that side deal works. The agent finds a fixer-upper, a house that needs work. They bring that deal to an investor. The investor buys it, fixes it up, and then here's the key part. They give the listing right back to that same agent to sell again. So think about this. That one house just paid the agent 3, maybe 4 times. Once when they originally listed, again when the investor bought it, again when it sold after the fix-up, and possibly more depending on the deals in between. That's not a commission, that's a wealth generation strategy. Think about the incentive misalignment that's happening right there and how hard they will push to have that home sold off MLS market. Don't fall for that inconvenience pitch. The research found that the price gap for sellers over 75 actually increases from 0.5 to 0.74% when a home is sold as a pocket listing rather than on the open market. So that $100,000 loss increases to $148,000. Transparency is key, and we know this isn't an inevitable part of the agent process because of a real-life experiment in Illinois. Their local MLS implemented a policy called the Private Listing Network, which forced more transparency on those private sales. And the result? Once those pocket listings were brought into the light of the full marketplace, and they were hidden before, the return discount for the older sellers was cut by more than half. This proves that the problem isn't that the seniors are bad at real estate, it's that lack of market transparency disproportionately hurts those people who aren't active in the daily churn of the housing market. We also have to be honest about a sensitive topic, cognitive decline. The research notes that the price decline starts accelerating right around age 70, which is often when market awareness can start to fade. I once worked with a gentleman in Santa Clara who was in his early 80s, a brilliant retired engineer. He hadn't sold a home since probably in the 90s, and he was ready to accept an easy cash offer from an investor that was about $200,000 below market value because he didn't realize how much the tech boom had spiked values in the past 10 years, and he didn't want the hassle of having to clean and prepare his home for open houses over several weekends. He was relying on this inconvenience and his own poor memory of what houses in the area were really worth. And he could have sold to a flipper who would have pocketed all of the potential profit. And of course, he was still going to make a lot of money compared to what he had originally paid for, but he would have left close to $400,000 of money on the table if he had taken that original offer. It's all about market knowledge and transparency. So how do you avoid the senior discount? Based on the data from the 10 million sales transactions, here's your roadmap. Avoid the as-is label. So you don't need $200,000 remodel, but the study does show that low positive updates, things like fresh paint, modern hardware, professional cleaning, These things can help you remove from the high negative stigma and keep you out of the fixer-upper category. Second, maximize market exposure. So unless you have a dire safety concern, your home belongs on the MLS. In Silicon Valley, competition is your best friend. You want multiple offers to ensure that you're getting the true market value for your home. And beware of off-market MLS recommendations. And watch the agent's incentives. Be wary of dual agency or agents who lean too heavily into the cash investor offers. You want an advocate whose only goal is to maximize your profit. Finally, audit your maintenance early. So if you're in your 60s, start the heavy lifting projects now. Things like roofing, HVAC, electrical work. Don't wait until you're 80 to realize that your home has become atypical for your neighborhood. Look, your home is likely the result of decades of hard work, and you've earned every bit of that appreciation. Don't let a lack of transparency or that stayer mindset rob you of the legacy that you've built. If you're a longtime homeowner in the South Bay and you want to know how your property stacks up against these atypical metrics, reach out to us at the Steve Moon Group. We'll help you run the numbers and make sure that you can keep your equity where it belongs, with you. I'm Steve Moon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.